everyone. My name is Swati Rajwal and I am a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. And today I'm conducting a session on computational R&D where we will be talking about career paths and more. Joining me today is Dr. Alpana Dubey. She is a Senior Research Principal and Head of Digital Experiences R&D Group at Accenture Labs in Bangalore, India. She has 20 years of remarkable research experience and also currently serving as a board member of Innovation Hub at IIT Roorkee. She holds a Ph.D. in CSC from IIT Kanpur, which is a premium research-oriented institute in India. She has worked in a broad range of areas, most notably in 3D deep learning, image processing, software engineering, crowdsourcing, and human-computer interaction. She has a consistent track record of idea incubation and deployment of research technologies. She holds several patents and research publications. Dr. Alpana, welcome to this session. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you very much, Swati, for a lovely introduction, and hello to all. And it's my honor to actually talk to you and, in fact, present my views on what career students should choose and how they should see R&D career path. And I hope this will be useful to all of you.
Definitely. Your years of experiences will be useful for us. So, Dr. Alpana, let's begin by understanding what was your journey and why you chose R&D, like research and development, and to be precise, what exactly inspired you to choose this career ahead. So, over to you.
So just a quick intro. So I was born and brought up in Varanasi, Uttar Pradesh, and my initial education has happened. First, in the primary education happened in my school, which was started by my parents, and then I moved to Government Girls College, Varanasi, to pursue science education, as during those time it was not available in all these schools. But one of the thing was that I was always very much interested in doing engineering because physics and maths were my favorite subjects. And during those time, there used to be a science and engineering column in the children's page in newspaper. So every week they pick one machinery and talk about its functioning. And that used to be my favorite column. So I would say that this interest has led me to choose engineering discipline. But honestly speaking, when I chose to go for engineering in computer science, I did not know that I will choose an R&D path. So typically what happened with me during my BTech, I realized that I wanted to build some specialization in computer science. But still, I did not think about going for a PhD at that time. So during my master's at MNNIT Allahabad, I secured a regular job offer from one of the most sought after companies at that time, Cisco Systems. And in fact, I had almost made up my mind to join them in Bangalore after completing my master's. But when the date of joining approached, my parents and siblings, they started getting nervous as I was the youngest. And I would be living alone in a city too far away from my home state. It was also due to my family had a very limited exposure about engineering stream and avenues after that at that time. So I did discuss the possibility with my master's thesis advisor, and he recommended me to consider research as a career. So I applied for PhD program at some top places, IIT Kanpur being one of the best places to study computer science. And it was also located to my home state, quite close to my hometown. So this was a natural choice for me to apply to. So it happened all by chance. And in fact, I again admit that even after getting PhD admission offer from IIT Kanpur, I was not so sure to join the PhD program, and I had some other plans and all those things. But after joining PhD during the first semester, the pressure of the coursework, time commitment required to have a good grade in a relative grading system has actually indulged myself completely in the pursuing computer science more seriously, understanding them better, and my other thinking just got vanished. and rest is, as they say, is history.
No, that was a really like personal touch, and I was walking through your life in a brief amount of time. That was really nice. So since you have so much of experience, being from academia, and then you have worked in multiple corporate also, like for example, you're at Accenture at the moment. So my question is like, what are the similarities or the dissimilarities that you feel are there between academia and corporate research?
So in my opinion, there are two factors in which academia and corporate research differ. So the first factor is that in corporate research, the most important point is alignment of research areas with companies' business interest. Business interest may be short-term or long-term, but the research cannot be completely disconnected with immediate or future business plans. The other factor that is considered in corporate is return on investment. So even though something is aligned with business, it may still make sense to leave that problem for some time and let others solve that. And the others may include academia or companies for whom solving that problem is more important. And on the other hand, in academia, one can pursue research in any areas of personal interest. Additionally, the timeline for expected results can also be decided by the researchers. There can be some defined timeline even in academia by the funding agency, but it is up to the professor to choose which funding to apply for. Now, coming to the similarity part, research career, be it industry or academia, it basically means examining a problem in depth, considering the state of the art and ongoing research in that area and systematically approaching the solution. So this is very similar, whatever you choose, academia or industry. And lastly, I think that sharing your findings with community is an important similarity, both in academia as well as corporate research.
Okay, so like academia, there's some flexibility in terms of research. You can choose whatever area you want, but in corporate, you have to stick to some business plans and make sure things are moving smoothly in the right direction. That's really great. Actually, I learned a lot about it. So now my next question is, which students ask a lot more often, is like, when you're hiring some student for an R&D position, for an R&D roles, whatever, what are the skills that you look for in the student? Like, what do you expect them to know? Or what are you like, okay, I can maybe manage with this much of knowledge, but what is the one thing or maybe two things that you expect the students should know?
Yeah. So hiring in a research lab has two dimensions.
Sure.
So first one is to test the fitment for the position, which may include required background in specific areas, established either by publication records or by academic projects done. The second dimension is fitment for a research lab. So this may again depend on the generic nature of the lab. Some research labs focus mainly on applied research, where solving a problem by building on some existing technology is important. So in that case, essentially the engineering skills, being hands-on or being a fast learner are key qualities. But I would also want to add that in other labs that focus more on fundamental research, having deep foundation in a specific area and ability to theoretically examine the solution may be more suitable. And lastly, I would like to stress that strategies and research direction may change rapidly and frequently in corporate research labs. So that's the fact. So I also look for candidates who are flexible to adopt to new research areas instead of being rigid about the few areas he or she has experience or background.
Sure. I mean, that's a really valid point you have brought up, because oftentimes whatever students have done maybe in their thesis work, they expect the same kind of work. But as you rightly mentioned here, that it's a very dynamic field, it's not constant, and things are moving and changing very differently.
Yeah.
Definitely. Great point. Dr. Dubey, there is another question which people asked me about, like how can students from different branches, for instance, mechanical or electronic, join computational R&D at, let's say, Accenture, and they want to work in computer science, the field of computer science, machine learning, artificial intelligence. So how can those students who are maybe from different backgrounds, different fields in the past, can join such a lab?
So I would say that almost all or many corporate research labs work on problems cutting across multiple disciplines.
Okay.
So they look for diverse background, but at the same time, I don't want to set the wrong expectations.
Yes.
So if the primary area of the research is software or information technology, then having a background in computer science and IT is always preferred. And not to discourage students who belong to other branches, I would like to mention that these days we get CVs from students who have done a lot of software projects, either from computer science department or because of their own personal interest, or even as a formal minor in computer science or the related fields. And we do not discriminate if they possess the skills we are looking for. We look for their resumes, the projects they have done, and based on that, we actually invite them for interviews and select them. So my guidance would be that if anyone is interested, then they should continue to learn more and more in this area and should show that by the courses done, by the projects, interesting projects done. And in fact, sometimes it may actually act as a positive point because they are masters of two fields actually.
Right.
So in that case, it will be a positive point.
So they will bring that interdisciplinary knowledge with them when,
Exactly.
They learn about them. So it doesn't matter if they are from mechanical, from electronics, as long as they possess what it takes to be, a part of an R&D team in computer science.
Exactly, and they will have to anyway go through that formal interview process and those things. Right. And there is no discrimination done if they have solid background. Definitely, I mean, any corporate will be happy to hire them.
Certainly, because I see a lot of students are interested in computational R&D these days because of the dynamic nature of it, right? Even the people from computer science background have to anyways learn it. So it really doesn't matter if you're from mechanical or computer science. That's a really, really nice point. So moving to the next question, this is again one of the very highly asked question is that any R&D organization or any R&D department of an organization, they prefer master student over bachelors. Is this true? Like, let's reveal the truth.
So R&D is a broad term. Yes. So I will answer it for a research lab.
Okay.
So we hire people from diverse background, as I said, and which includes diverse educational background. In my lab, the ratio between bachelors and masters must be equal. However, I would like to add that having a master's degree may help for certain roles, not always, for certain roles. Some examples being roles in which you are required to critically review existing research work, identify gaps, and develop innovative approaches to address the gaps. So typically what happens that masters or PhD students, they get trained on this process while working on their PhD or master's thesis. But as I said that it only applies for certain roles. And in fact, I had worked with many BTech students as interns, and they equally showed similar aptitude and delivered good research output from their projects. So yeah, I mean, opportunities are there, and they deliver also if they get the right environment.
So this is just a myth. It's not like someone prefers master's students over bachelors. It's just that some roles may require additional knowledge, right?
Correct.
So that's a great point you have brought
Not
here.
knowledge, but training, I would say.
Training.
Right. Yeah.
I understand. So yeah, that's great. Now moving on to the next question, like the highlight of the entire session. What are the R&D opportunities at Accenture?
Can you elaborate on this question a little?
So let's talk about your department only, because you have been with the organization for quite some time. What are the various roles and the opportunities that you may offer to students, let's say bachelors or masters, whatever? So what are the roles that people can expect? Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I will talk about Accenture Labs. So we are working in areas such as digital experiences, artificial intelligence, application engineering that you may call software engineering also, security and systems and platforms. So we have opportunities in all these areas at different levels. But I would like to add that our research lab is a small unit within Accenture, which is often the case for any industrial research labs. So opportunities are always very limited, and many times we have to make tough decisions because of having too many good candidates than the available positions.
Makes
So
sense.
yeah,
It's competitive and challenging at the same time.
yeah,
Yeah, I do like when the teams are smaller because you have a lot of say in the team, right? When you
yeah.
are tightly knitted with the entire leadership team also. So I
Mm.
believe that's the advantage for students to learn at the same time. So when are the hirings basically happen, or is there some particular timeline to when you, let's say your department, hire
Mm.
students for internship or maybe for full-time offers? Like, what's the timeline?
Typically, it goes throughout the year based on the vacancies. So if you have positions available, we do that call for applications both for internship and regular offers. Internships typically they have to fall with certain when the semester starts and ends, that type of
To
timeline we
align with the
follow. Uh, but from industry point of view, we are open actually. It is more of a challenge from academic side because they have to finish their semester and then only they can join. And the students, they will have to plan their own course load based on that, right? So all those are more of a challenge from their own program side and their institute side. But otherwise, it's almost open in throughout the year, and it is dependent on the positions available.
Great. That's a great point. So, moving on to the last question I have. So, what are the upcoming popular R&D areas of interest, like the companies which are looking for? So, for example, you are from corporate, so maybe you are able to foresee what is going to be the trend ahead, or what are the areas of research which will be, the highlight in the future, so that people and students can accordingly prepare for it. So, over to you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there are a number of areas where exciting work is happening around the world. For example, AI, digital experiences, application engineering, neuromorphic computing, blockchain, quantum computing, these comes to my mind. Artificial intelligence is one area which has been there for quite a while, and it will continue to grow and remain relevant for many more years. So I feel that power of AI is not fully leveraged yet in all the domains. So applications of AI in new domains such as physics, chemistry, human sciences, and many more will continue to be evolved, and it will become very relevant because there is lot many things to be done. The other interesting sub area in the AI is around how AI system can be made better by smarter way of training, for example, by lesser number of data, or improving the way human interacts with AI-based systems. Um, Coming to the extended reality and human-computer interaction areas, new way of experiencing digital technologies will continue to be an important area in coming years. And with metaverse gaining a lot more popularity, this is going to be a highly important area, I'm pretty sure. And there are lot many challenges which needs to be addressed to make it a success. And many such challenges fall under conducting a deeper research in human-computer interaction areas, uh, ways in which people will experience digital and physical world together, research in augmented reality and virtual reality, and creating XR content, extended reality content with AI remains a challenging problem to make this concept of metaverse a success. There are a lot many challenges also. I'll not go in detail. Quantum computing and neuromorphic computing, which works on a very different kind of computing models, is showing a lot of potentials for several business applications, and in fact, real business applications are being built with them. Apart from this, bioinformatics, biocomputing is also an emerging area. Lastly, software engineering and application engineering, I would say this is going to be continued as an important area with the emergence of new computing paradigms and technologies. So now we are getting very new types of software engineering problems because of the changes in the computing model and the way the software is being written. You have a software application based on, let's say, neuromorphic computing. You may have to maybe follow a very different kinds of software engineering practice or the testing, the way you have to test the software in that case versus in the traditional software system. So all these technologies are kind of would keep on driving the software engineering area parallelly, and a lot of research problems specifically for the software engineering will emerge. So
Right.
yeah, that's what I
So
think.
they are basically interlinked. So as we progress more in AI, more software development paradigms will emerge and new testing paradigms will emerge, and it will keep on growing.
Yeah, correct. For example, even a lot of work is going on in biasness, AI for biasness, how we can test software, whether it is unbiased or not, whether the training data is good or not. All these are very software engineering problems actually, right?
So I think this was a really nice and detailed answer. I really loved it, and I'm certainly going to re-listen to it, in a few days also, because it's a really good and a constant reminder of what we are heading towards. So thank you so much, Dr. Dubey. I think that's all I have to ask. If there is anything more you would like to add, be my guest. But yeah, that's all I had for today's session.
Thank you very much. It was wonderful to talk to you. And I would just like to close with a remark that I think all the students, they should keep two things in their mind. First is that they should remain flexible, and they should always have an aptitude to learn new things. Learning is an important process which continues throughout the journey. It doesn't stop once you finish your program. You do learning during your job, and those who actually show a great attitude towards learning new things, they are definitely going to succeed. Networking is also very important, but learning and flexibility is very critical for you to make succeed, and you can even change your field and all those things. All these things are possible.
Certainly. In a dynamic field like computer science, I think you rightly mentioned that flexibility is really important for us to keep growing. So I think that was a really nice closing remark, better than mine, but it's good. So that's all, Dr. Dubey. Thank you so much for taking out the time to talk to me. And certainly this will be helpful to a lot of students, I can say that. Thank you very much for taking out the time, and have a great day ahead.
Thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye-bye.